90% of the people who tried doing this lost everything. Every 5 seconds, the order flow would change. Boom, COVID happens, and all eyes were on the stock market. So the whole business model became one of an incubator to create and find some of the greatest new traders in the world. Hey everybody, it's me, the Einstein of Wall Street, here from the balcony of the New York Stock Exchange. Kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a history lesson about markets, about accessibility to the markets, about trading futures, and about Apex. Apex Trader Funding, our preferred trader platform, and Wall Street Global Trading Academy. So look, I've been trading this markets for 41 years. I came down here in 1985. David Green and I started around the same time. He started as a squad. I started as a teletypist. We came down to the floor back in 1985. That's how things went back then, right? You know that in 1903, the stock exchange issued about 1,300 seats on the stock exchange, and everybody's dream was to come down to Wall Street. Some people made it through high school. Some people did not. Some people went to college. There was no training for the job of becoming a broker on the stock exchange. However, the way things worked back then was it was an incredibly robust. At one point in the 80s, we had 5 rooms here on the stock exchange. We had the expanded blue room, the blue room, 30 Broad Street, the main room. It was amazing. And that was pre-technology. That was open outcry, screaming and yelling, you know, the eccentric times of Wall Street back in the 80s and 90s. Okay. And that's kind of the time I came down here. And so we had the ultimate open outcry. You know, you started as a teletypist. That's how I started. I came down here. I got a summer job with Cowan and Company. The teletypist was the person that when a trade came down, so imagine this. Order flow started upstairs on a portfolio desk, right? They sat down. They decided what they needed to buy and sell on the day. They had their analyst meeting. They decided where they were going to spend their money today. Then the orders started, or customer business. They would send the orders down to the floor by phone, right? A clerk would be standing facing a phone with a phone tree and all those little buttons we used to press with lights on. They would send down the order verbally, okay, and then sometimes the order would come through the DOT system, right? And then they would call down, buy 100,000 shares of digital equipment, buy 50,000 in line, and then work the balance. Or I got to own them, buy me 50,000 right in here. Or I want to work over the day, be about 10% of the volume. All the different kinds of instructions that were given were basically the instructions by the customer where the order flow came down. Order flow came down. We had beepers back then. Okay, it was no cell phones. There were phones all over the floor. You would beep the broker, whether you were a house broker or a $2 broker. A $2 broker was an independent broker who did business for all different firms. I was a Cowan broker, house broker for a while. Then I went on and became a broker for Lee Securities, doing convertible risk arbitrage. And then I went on to do basically institutional and retail business. And then I built a strategy around the S&P 500 and accessibility to information that they gave us here on the floor that made it available for me to see the opening and closing auctions, all the order flow that came in for the opening and closing bell. And then I was able to track. Back then I did it manually. Literally, I was able to see order flow that came in for the opening, looking at dislocations between where the markets were trading away on opinion and then the reality of the opening here on the NYSE. And then in the afternoon at 2 o'clock, my machine would populate with all the order flow for the closing bell. And then I would be able to analyze all the order flow coming in. Every 5 seconds, the order flow would change. It would be updated. So it was not like we were shooting fish in a barrel. We would come out at 2 o'clock with an alert, the notional dollar value of the closing bell template, 100 billion to buy, 3 billion to buy, 500 million to buy, or 2 million to sell. And it would change every 5 seconds. It would be updated. So it was not like shooting fish in a barrel. It was very complicated. The accuracy was incredibly important. The speed was incredibly important. All that being said, when a broker would go out to the crowd, he would buy 50,000 in line. He would ask the crowd, how is it? Quarter for 50,000, 200,000 and a half. What do you want to do? I'm a buyer. I'm looking to buy 50,000 in line. I'll pay you 3x for 50,000. Seller says sold. I go out there. I write down, I bought 50,000 at 3/8. I take the contra badge of the broker, right? The price, the time, how many shares, what company he represented, his badge number. I would then take that order and I would send it into the booth. The clerk would then report it upstairs to the portfolio manager. And then he would then hand that piece of paper to me. I was the teletypist. I would then clunkily into an old computer input that, who bought, who sold, the badge number, the time, the amount of shares. That was kind of the ledger. It was the origin really of blockchain as it pertained to this business, because 7 days later, we needed to clear these shares. And so we needed to know all that information. Who bought, who sold, what time, how many shares, the price, the badge number, and the contra company's name. All that information was pivotal in order for the back office clearing. Then they would hand it to me. I would input in the system, and they would go upstairs to another office up at them. And then that would be we would be commencing the 7-day process of the clearing the stock. And then that piece of paper would be handed by me with all the other orders that came in to a tube guy. The tube guy would then roll those orders up into a little plastic tube and send it in a pneumonic tube from the floor floor of the exchange up to the 17th floor, where there would be these streams of women typing, inputting the stock into another system, which created the ticker tape that went out all over the world. Now, we know that there were, if you think about it, in the early days, there were kiosks all over New York, all over the world, where people could sit at a bar and watch the ticker tape and know where stocks were trading. Obviously, we didn't have the accessibility and the telephones and the TVs and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, you'd read the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal. It would tell you where the stock opened, where it closed, how much it was up, and all that kind of stuff. I just want to kind of give you a sense of how things transpired. That was the days of open outcry. And then slowly in the 2000s, we obviously, but still a very exclusive market. You had to be an accredited investor to trade this market. If you open an account with Merrill Lynch, Smith Barney, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, whoever it may be, you had to prove that if you lost 100% of this money that you were investing, it would have no effect on your standard of living for 5 years. That was what made you an accredited investor. Most people could not do that. I mean, literally, right? Because you have to be sort of the 1% of the 1%. You have to be very wealthy to be able to say that whatever money I was investing in the market. Anyway, what that did was gate cap the market for super wealthy people. That happened way back in 1903 when the market had that, back before the crash of 1929, according to Andrew Ross Sorkin. He also said that was another time where there was a transition to the democratization of the trading community, where we went from very exclusivity of the market and then kind of opened the land, leveled the playing field so that anybody who had an interest in investing or trading the stock market could. Back then, it created a bubble and it ended up with the crash of 1929. Great book. Go check it out. Same thing happened here. So what ends up happening around the time of COVID is, look, there were no free trading apps. Maybe there was a Charlie Schwab or a Muriel Siebert or a Merrill Lynch or a Morgan Stanley, but there was no accessibility for your regular Joe and Jane to access the market and trade the market. Boom, COVID happens. Everyone's sheltered in place. Everybody had a stimulus check, and all eyes were on the stock market. It was just almost like, the seas parted, right? And everybody was locked at home. Some had COVID, some did not. I obviously had gotten a really bad case of COVID. At one point, I was given it only a few months to live, right? But what ended up happening on the positive side of all this was Robinhood, Webull, all these free trading apps that gave accessibility to the marketplace for people who wanted to trade, who had no accessibility before, to open up an account and trade the market. What ended up happening was there was no educational component to this story. So basically, everybody opened an account and everybody was just throwing darts at a wall. Hype, hope, FOMO, that was their plan. Reddit went wild. All eyes were on the market. The meme phenomenon, Roaring Kitty, all that kind of craziness, was happening. People were getting involved. They were following the dogs and, the lemmings off of the cliff. And I would say a majority of people who started trading the meme stocks, probably 90% of them blew up their trading accounts. Out of nowhere, everybody had access to the market through Webull and or Robinhood. They all started trading the market. Now, without knowing how the market worked and knowing technical analysis, everybody was a bit of disadvantage. And I would say 90% of the people who tried doing this lost everything. Okay, so around that same time, it turns out that in order to open up a day trading account, you have to have $25,000 or else you're going to be flagged by the pattern day trading rules by the regulators. Okay, so look, I would imagine not that many 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, whether you're in college or not, have $25,000 to open up an account. But that was the only way to be an active day trader, because otherwise you would only, if you only didn't have that amount of money, all you could really do was do 1 or 2 or 3 trades a week, or you could trade options for cash. I mean, it was very, very limited. So not only this time opened the opportunity for David Green and I to create Wall Street Global Trading Academy, which basically was an educational platform, educate, motivate, and inspire young people to learn about technical analysis, risk management, money management, psychology of trading, the 5 technical analysis trades, options, equities, and futures. Now, in walks Apex Trader Funding. There were a number of other firms. There's Top Step and whatnot. Apex Trader Funding is best of breed. It is our preferred trading platform for the futures. David Green and I at Wall Street Global Trading Academy decided to partner with Apex. What did Apex do? Apex basically created an online simulated trading platform where anywhere from $21 to $31 to $41 you could open up an account. You were given $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 simulated dollars. You had a period of time where you needed to validate yourself in the process and make a certain amount of money over a certain amount of time to get what's called a paid account. Then they fill your bank up again. You get to trade the market, and then you actually get paid 90% of what you bring in trading simulated in real dollars. Sounds too good to be true? It is. But it's actually a reality, and it's incredible. And a number of these firms popped up, and they're real. They're there. Apex Trader Funding happens to be the best of breed in these things. That's why we partnered with them. However, what it does do is offer you accessibility and funding to trade the market. What it is lacking is the educational component to all of this, which is why we partnered with them, because Wall Street Global Trading Academy, in my opinion, David Green, my teacher, my mentor, my friend, 40 years professor trading the stock market. There's nobody better to learn about price action, technical analysis, learn how to trade this market than be with David Green. He was that professor in college that you didn't care what he was teaching. You just loved to listen to, okay? And so we partnered with Apex Trader Funding, Infinite Possibilities, our preferred trader platform. We created a brand new course, Trading the Futures Market with Apex and Wall Street Global Trading Academy. And so now, not only can you learn to trade the market, you can trade the market and you can get paid to trade the market. Hear what I said? You can learn to trade Wall Street Global Trading Academy. You can trade Apex Trader Funding, accessibility and funding, and then you can get paid to trade through Apex. Amazing opportunity. What that did was it opened up the world to millions of new young traders who did not have $25,000 to open up a regular trading account, who can now open up a trading account with Apex, who can now learn to trade the futures market through Wall Street Global. Sounds too good to be true. It is, but it is an absolute fact. So what's incredible about this is that this opened the doors to people who would have never had access to trade the market. The timing was perfect. It happened during this perfect storm around COVID, which I call the democratization of the trading community. Basically, 50 million new people came into the market to trade during COVID. Everyone was sheltered in place. Everybody had a couple shekels in the bank from the stimulus check, and everybody was focused on the market. Meme phenomenon, all that, Reddit, the market was exploding. All eyes were on the market. But if it wasn't for the fact that Apex came along and opened the accessibility and funding, none of this would have happened. And then you've got Wall Street Global Trading Academy's relationship with Apex, our preferred trading platform to educate yourself and teach you how to trade and get accessibility and funding to trade, and then get paid to trade through Apex. So I'm showing you that this is a match made in heaven. It's an opportunity that's unmatched on the globe. We have tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of young traders, young and old, right? Single moms, people working at Home Depot who quit their job, lost your job during COVID. Anybody, young people who just were gamers, we're playing Fortnite and all these other things, who suddenly, they gamified the whole idea and they sort of got into the market. They had no relationship to the stock market at all. They didn't know if they could do it. But the minute they did it within that auspices of Wall Street Global and Apex Trader Funding, they became really good at it. So the whole business model became one of an incubator to create and find some of the greatest new traders in the world. And that's where we're at right now. We have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of new young traders making hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, trading the market, learning through Wall Street Global, trading through Apex and Wall Street Global, and getting paid to trade through Apex. Accessibility and funding. I mean, it is a match made in heaven. And what's so incredible about it, if you think about it, anybody with $28 who can open up an account with Apex, anybody who wants to buy the Wall Street Global Trading Academy course, which is another $28 if you use the payment plan, money back guarantee, comes with coaching and mentoring every week with me and David Green. So basically for $60 a month, you can learn to trade, you can trade, and you can get paid to trade. You can go in, get validated and verified in a week, get payouts, a drawdown in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, get paid to trade and come out of that month. Look, you can blow up your accounts if you're not focused and disciplined and consistent, right? And then what you do is you just open up a brand new account and give it another shot. Educational component is huge with Wall Street Global Trading Academy. The accessibility and funding is pivotal component to the whole story. But the bottom line is anybody, any Joe and Jane, anywhere in the world who wants to trade, who wants to learn to trade, who wants to make money trade and get paid to trade can now do that. Wall Street Global Trading Academy, Apex Trader Funding, the Einstein of Wall Street, David Green, my teacher, my mentor, my friend. We are a family now, and we have tens of thousands of students, millions of students all over the world. We're taking advantage of the educational component, the trading accessibility and funding component, are making money, opening, trading the market, and then they're building communities around each other, right? It's unbelievable who we've seen. I've done conferences all over the place. We did one in Miami where there were thousands of young people learning to trade the market. I did an event where they were high school students, right? They had the chance to either go talk to some famous NFL guy or come and talk to me. And all they wanted to do was know, how can I get in and trade the stock market? So we are blessed that we've made this relationship with Apex, right? We are blessed that we've built Wall Street Global Trading Academy to the level it's at. So I want you all to check it out, right? There's a link in my bio on social media. There's plenty of content out there. There's a link at the Wall Street Global Trading Academy website. There's a link on Apex, a link in my bio to look up Wall Street Global, the brand new futures course, and then Apex. So literally for $60 a month, you can learn to trade and get paid to trade. I am telling you, that is a formula that is made in heaven. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to be in it to win it. Please come and join the family. It comes with coaching and mentoring for life. It comes with a money back guarantee. It comes with a payment plan. This is unmatched in history. Anybody who wants to trade this market, you got to want it. I can meet you halfway. I will help you. I will train you. I will motivate you. I will educate you, me and David Green. And then we will give you the opportunity to get the accessibility and funding through Apex Trader Funding, our preferred trading platform. Infinite possibilities. And it's on you then. It's on you to wake up every day, turn on your machine, trade the market, and get paid to trade on a daily basis. There are young people 18 to 25 who are bringing in six figures a month day trading this market. There is no more excuses. I don't care if you're trading ICTs and DUIs and DWIs. Whatever you do your thing. But there is the opportunity to learn to trade and get paid to trade that has never existed before. Wall Street Global Trading Academy, Apex Trader Funding. It's a match made in heaven. You got to be in it to win it. Check it out. Boom.